What made you lose respect for someone? They cheated on their spouse. And hashtag X200B. If their own spouse can't trust them, then why should I? A friend of mine opened a restaurant and I worked for her for a bit. One time an employee came into work injured because he had just been hit by a car. The first words out of my friend's mouth were, "Can you still work? No, are you okay?" A few months later, one of her other employees had a seizure and passed out on the line. When he came to, she asked him, "Are you still good to work?" At this point, I've come to realize that my friend doesn't care about people, she only cares about her business. Can't wake up for anything, ever. Always late. I used to like this guy and we'd hang out a lot and he taught me loads of stuff about skateboarding, but he does not respect himself and wastes all his money on weed and alcohol, therefore I do not have respect for him either. There's this kid I've been going to school with since first grade. It was really until recently that I started seeing them as an asshole some of the time. They've used my middle name as an amusement to piss me off and I've begun to hate my middle name because of it. They've also been ignoring half the shit I say to them and begin talking about sports, which they know I don't really care about, or know much about. Additionally, they said things referring to my sexuality, which I am currently questioning. They say sometimes I act straight, and sometimes I act gay, hence they think I'm bisexual. They're really the only person I consider close to a friend. I guess the reason I don't think we truly are is that we don't respect one another. BTW, I'm a 15-year-old male. My friend became an anti-vaxxer conspiracy theory peddler and then told me my experience in farmer development wasn't valid or relevant BC of my race. That pretty much ended the friendship. Dream Minecraft for admitting to accidentally cheating in speedrun after shitting on mods who checked his speedrun. I was riding my bicycle and a car hit me. I was injured and thankfully nothing permanent. When I told a close friend, they began to manically laugh in my face, while my face was still clearly damaged, and my friend had told me the image of me getting hit on a bicycle was funny to him. I appreciated his honesty, but we don't speak anymore. A former friend of mine started getting really weird after he broke up with his girlfriend at the time. He was really honestly an okay guy even though he was absolutely an asshole. We always had good fun and he never crossed any lines, but after he broke up with that girl he changed significantly. Both of them did actually. It's kinda sad. He started doing really dumb shit and was on some heavy drugs, which I normally don't have a huge issue with, but he took it way too far. The thing that made me cut him off though was when he started dating teenagers. Dude was like 21 or something and dating 16-year-olds, and I wasn't about it. I completely removed myself from the situation, and last I heard he's been arrested multiple times for various things. It's really shit too, cause he had more than a few friends around him to help be there for him, but he just kept spiraling, and after a while it was too much to justify keeping him in our lives. My dad has had a pattern of verbal abuse he's repeated my whole life. It started after my grandfather passed away. It was like something broke in him and he took it out on us. Cut to this summer, me and my family got invited by him and my mother to go camping. The spot was remote and everyone involved has quarantined for 2 weeks prior, so I said yes. I assumed he had grown and changed his behavior. Not only did he repeat the same shit that he always had, he did so in front of my wife, my son and the family friend who was with us, and that was before he called hip-hop not real music and to turn it off cause it reminded him of the hood. I haven't spoken to him since, and I plan on legally changing my last name as soon as possible. It's bad enough we look alike. I feel sick every time I look in the mirror. My ex, we were together for 10 years. We had been going through a rough patch for months, and I discovered that he had been contacting prostitutes. Not shaming sex work, I just think that both parties in the relationship should be aware, and on the same page about such things. When I confronted him about it, he was so dismissive. He shrugged his shoulders and tried to convince me that he was hiring these women because he liked to flirt with them. I immediately lost all respect for him. I couldn't believe that he would do such a thing, and I was speechless that he thought I would buy that excuse. Lies. When my boyfriend at the time told me he randomly ran into my mom at the mall. Him and I had been fighting at the time, but I was ready to see him again, so I came down. I hadn't spoken to my mom in months because of our past and my therapist's suggestions in dealing with my PTSD. I had her leave, but even just seeing her ruined me for days. I was crying and a mess. It turns out he was the one to reach out to her. He said he wanted to plan for us to have a relationship again. But then I receive a recording from my sister, who had gotten it from my mom, of my boyfriend trying to come onto my mom. He said he would give her the tips and tricks on how to get me back into her life if she agreed to sleeping with him. Not here, he said, not when he is around. Unfortunately, this wasn't the last straw. I was with him for a little while longer and he gaslit me when I found evidence of another girl's stuff at his house, and then he even slept with a friend of mine from middle school who called and told me all the crazy things he said about me. I don't know why I justified his actions and why it's taken me so long to come to terms with what happened. I guess it's because I also didn't trust my mom and her intentions. I still feel really alone and sad. When he told me, a person whose parents had divorced 10 years ago when my brothers and I were still kids, that if parents really cared about their kids then they wouldn't get divorce. I was like, WTF, do you realize who you are talking to? Keeping in mind that we had been friends for at least 15 years at that point and I had taken him to my school ball as well, so I don't know why he thought it would be a good idea to say that to me in the middle of dinner. He tried to use his parents as an example, how they fight all the time but won't get divorced because of their kids. And I much prefer my parents separated instead of screaming at each other, and mum is so much happier now. Anyway, dropped that douche like a hot potato. Oh, also he supports Trump, so don't know why I was so surprised, honestly. I respected the hell out of our regional VP because he's an exceptionally smart businessman. Him and I even got the same degree, and I was proud to work for him. That is until I found out how bad he was willingly and knowingly undercutting our employees to make just a tiny bit more money. The man is letting employees starve, quit, and work grueling 16-hour days while sitting quietly and complacently at home. It's why I'm looking for a new job. My grandfather bragging about his drug usage and prison time like it was impressive. My friend telling his ex he's getting married and no longer wants to see her, after smashing that day. I was visiting a friend's house with a couple of other friends. When the friend that lived there left the room, one of the other friends spat on the carpet then rubbed it in with his foot to hide it. I said, dude, what the fuck? Do you do that in your own house too? And his response was, yeah, what's the big deal, it's just a bit of water. I stopped hanging around with him after that, totally lost any respect I had for him. I had this best friend growing up. I mean joint at the hip best friend. We had been through absolutely everything together. We always had each other's back. Lots of blood, sweat and tears were shed together. I had stopped him from committing suicide, sort of friendship. As I've gotten older I've realized that he'd be the one starting fights and I'd always finish them for him. You know what young guys are like, trying to prove they're the toughest. Anyway, as we finished school I got a full-time job with an opportunity that I didn't want to throw away over big weekends and stupidity. He on the other hand, still trying to prove he was the toughest and got caught up with the wrong crowd. Lots of drinking and drugs. He became close with a guy, who he now claimed as his best mate, no skin off my back as I was trying to distance myself. It then came out that his new best mate had been sleeping with his girlfriend behind his back. We were then at the pub and my mate was crying to me about the situation and I was comforting him, telling him that I had his back and to move on from that crowd. He agreed and said he'd never hang out with them again. He then got kicked out of the pub because he smashed a glass on his own head. When I went to find him he was on the phone to his best mate asking if he was okay and that he could call him at any time and that he still wanted to be best mates with him. That was the biggest kick in the teeth and the moment I lost all respect and cut him out of my life. On a positive note, he has turned his life around and we are friends again, but I don't think we'll ever be the same. It's so sad to think of the 15 years of friendship and all the memories just go down the drain. Cancel something without the courtesy to tell beforehand. When my ex decided to sleep with other guys. Refusing to take responsibility for themselves. Love this person to death, but they have absolutely refused to take care of themselves. I have had to all but beg them to go to the doctor for health issues after they got state insurance. As soon as they got the card, they decided it wasn't that bad, and just wanted to let it heal on its own, after months of being in too much pain to enjoy their hobbies. I finally realized that I don't have respect for them as a person anymore. Just love as a friend, but it felt more like a parent and angsty teen instead of best friends.